Hey guys, Stu from the future here. Just back in my DeLorean to say, it's your kids, Marty. Something's got to be done about your kids. Oh, hang on. Yeah, sorry, wrong message. It's to say that Brad was unfortunately having a few technical difficulties, so the quality of his audio is not great. Don't worry, he's been punished. He won't make the mistake again. Enjoy the podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Mental Health Gaming Podcast. We have made it to episode 25, and as a bit of a treat, maybe, we're going to just talk about our top games of the generation. We're going to skip some mental health chat this week, because this one will probably go on a bit as we talk about numerous games. As usual, I am joined by Stu. How you doing, Stu?
Oh, not bad.
Good. So, start off with the game chat, and me and Stu are both our own personal top 5 games of the 8th generation. Again, they're going to be personal takes. I think some might even be cross-generation, so don't at us. No, it's just our own favourites. Probably aren't in line with too many lists that you'll hear, most likely. So we'll start a countdown from 5 to 1, and we'll go alternately. So, Stu, if you want to start with your number 5.
Yeah, so for my number 5, an odd one for me, bit of a departure from my normal playing list. It's What Remains of Edith Finch. So, as I say, it's unusual for me because I tend to play more immediately accessible games and a bit more arcadey. But it really struck a chord with me, and I do play the odd, walking simulator, as they're derisorily called sometimes. I class it as immersive storytelling. And what Edith Finch does so brilliantly for me, it's a metaphorical walk through family history, but it also manifests as a literal walk around a family home. And the unique part with this game is how deep and personally affecting the stories are. So, to not go into the background too much, because it'll probably be a bit redundant, but basically, you wander around your family home that you've inherited, and you find out pieces of information and clues and setups of rooms that explain your family's personalities to you, their inner life. And it does that in gaming terms by going off on fantastical little journeys. So they're very much like living daydreams that you're inhabiting. And like Gone Home, which I also really loved, it's got a real power to it because it operates in the past, it operates in retrospect. So your actions are unlocking this oral history, and it blends the reality of these people's mostly sad lives with the fantasies that they overlaid onto their lives to make them bearable. And it's laying these fairy tales out in front of you, and it's asking you to sort of pay attention, to listen and to puzzle solve so that you can understand your past. And that backwards focus, that walk backwards into the path, is almost anathema to what video games are normally like. And as I say, it's hugely affecting. It's such a personal story, but it's also very universal. And it goes into family dynamics, and it goes into the sadness of small lives and the sadness of loss. It's very melancholic, but it's deeply affecting, very mature, very intelligent, and it's something that I think anyone who's even got a mild interest should play.
Well, I played it, and again, I got maybe, I'm not going to say bored of potential walking simulators, but I was kind of, a lot of them mechanically just didn't hold me. But Edith Finch, I found, stepped above being a walking simulator. It wasn't along the lines of other ones I've played, where it is just straight up, just walking around and barely interacting. It felt like there was more to it. It was one of those that actually felt more like an interactive experience, or a personal experience that you was actually intruding on someone's life and getting to feel what they're feeling. And I thought that done it better than most others that came before it.
Yes, definitely. It's probably the best of that type that I've that I've played, I think, as well as it being the best in this generation. And it's been a generation of these games. And as I say, it's the pinnacle.
It has the built-up over in it as well.
Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah, quite a few, some more viscerally than others, but it certainly really goes for the feels, and it hits them every time for me. So it's for me, it's pretty much that genre perfected. It's fantastic stuff.
It stands out, I think, many of those sort of titles, and that definitely deserves a place in someone's top list anyway. So I'm glad to see you've done it. So for me, my number 5 is Dead Cells. I came to a little bit late, actually. I'm a huge fan of Metroidvania games, and I really, really do enjoy roguelikes. Dead Cells ticks both of those boxes. I don't know. It looked like everything I saw about it was like, oh, it is difficult, and it gets a bit tedious at the end, and I was put off by that for a little while. I wasn't willing to spend out on 20 quid and then find I was only going to play it for half an hour or so. But I played it, and the combat within that game, the movement, the sense of discovery, the upgrades, even the way the roguelike mechanics work, everything about it is just absolutely sublime. Visually, it is outstanding, and it sets itself apart from a lot of other roguelike Metroidvanias out there. It easily sits on top, and I sort of game I can still go back to time and time again, just do a run. It doesn't matter if it's a good run or a bad run, or beat it, or only get one, never win. It's just so satisfying to play. And as I get older and I get less time to really dedicate hours upon hours to a huge story-based game, these are the sort of games that just really do it for me. It doesn't actually matter if you're going to complete the game. You still get something from it. And the balance in it is just so good. The gameplay loop is so damn good as well. Amazing. Absolutely amazing game.
Yeah, funnily enough, I've not actually played that in any real amount. I've had a quick blast, but it was just it hit Game Pass just after I'd completed Bloodstained, so I was like, oh god, I'm not doing another Metroidvania yet. But it's definitely one on the list, and the graphics I love as well. Definitely worth a shout out for those, because they're just perfect for that kind of game, I think.
Oh, it is, and I mean, I've got one more 2D retro-ish style game on there, so I'll mention it now. Dead Cells is the living embodiment of what 16-bit creators wanted to create, but didn't have the power to do. You look at it and it's got that old school mechanic, which is so damn good. It doesn't need to be 3D or anything like that. It uses 2D to its advantage, but just gives a visceral experience of a just visual wonderment that you just couldn't put off even 10 years ago, I don't think. It just does it absolutely perfectly. And the comparison you made to Bloodstained is interesting, that maybe put you off playing it originally. Two games are night and day in terms of how they play. I mean, it's like, to compare them would be almost like saying that FIFA is a lot like, NHL as a game. They are in the same genre, I suppose, but they are so different. Dead Cells, it is like a whole new thing when compared to Bloodstained. Stuff is where we go, oh yeah, I've just played this.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to having a go.
So for number 4.
Yeah, so my number 4 is very recent. It's Paper Beast, which was only released this year and I reviewed for the site. But it's shot up in my sort of ratings and rantings and rankings right away, because it's a VR game and it's got this framing device, which is you're some sort of physicist / scientist / mathematician who's needing to work out some astral navigation stuff. Doesn't matter. The minute you're in it, what it's about is solving problems and puzzles that are to help the creatures of the abstract world that you're in survive. And that's basically what it is. So it's kind of a puzzle zookeeper type game. Yeah. But being in VR, you're right in the middle of it. You can go right up to these wonderful creatures that are, based on Earth creatures but quite alien. They're made out of paper, as the game suggests, so they're kind of origami-ish, but beautifully detailed, and they all have subtly different behaviours and patterns, and you have to basically environmental puzzles that you're helping them overcome. So yeah, it's a game that's about compassion and about tenderness, which is in itself really rare, and the ultimate sort of aesthetic and emotional reward of conservation. So if you put a lot of effort into maintaining something and letting its beauty come out by being patient and gentle, it rewards you with peace and a sense of fulfillment. So in a way, it's a bit like Journey, the game that came out on PS3 and then PS4. So it's about acceptance and about just doing your best and knowing that you trying to help others is a good thing to do. Again, that's a really rare thing in gaming, and I thought it was profoundly moving and very deep, and I'm looking forward to actually paying for it again for the PC when it comes out and playing it through again, because it's that impactful. And I would say that if you own a VR headset, you absolutely have to play it.
Yeah, it's one of those on my list if I do get a VR headset at any point. But what I like from the preview pictures and your review of it and seeing videos of it is I want to see more games just realise that they're not constrained by the real world. It doesn't matter what you do. Your characters don't need to be realistic or even semi-realistic. I'll come to Mario in a bit at some point, but even Mario is grounded in some kind of realism. Even though he's in a fantastical world, there's a degree of realism about characters and stuff like that. And what I like about what I saw of Paper Beast was it just does away with all that and finds other ways to convey the same emotions that you can get in like a real gut-wrenching, story-driven title. And yeah, I love seeing stuff like just trying it, just going out there and doing something different. So again, it's good to see something experimental on a list.
Definitely.
So I'm moving on. My number 4 is another 2D indie game. And surprisingly, it's the last 2D indie game on my list. And that's Celeste, which, again, I suppose it is a roguelike. I don't like calling it a roguelike, this one, because it's linear, and there's no sort of like starting again with new builds. You are progressing each and every time, and, really well checkpointed. But it's a wonderful 2D platformer that explores love, loss, and mental health, all kinds of things like that, in just a really wonderful way. I don't want to say too much as to ruin it for anyone, but as you reach the end of that game, there's the story kind of builds to learning acceptance of your flaws, and that you've got to take the negative thoughts and impacts and the worries and everything. You use that to make yourself stronger, but it doesn't do it in a way that says, every negative experience is going to build you and make you stronger. It makes you better. It's good for you. Take it. What doesn't build you makes you stronger. It doesn't have that message, because throughout the game, you are, constantly put down. Madeline, as the main character, is constantly put down by people she meets, made to feel worthless at times, and it doesn't make her stronger, but then it throws in other parts that do then give a positive reinforcement that that's what makes her stronger despite the other things, but she has to let in the negatives to let the positives be what they are. And it didn't hit me to start when I started playing the game. I started playing it almost like just a bog standard 2D platformer. But it's just the way it does that, it draws you in and then just opens up Pandora's box of emotions. And it just does it in such a wonderful way. For me, it's another one of those games where I don't think I could play it again. I played it, I felt everything playing it, and I'm done with it. But it's one of those games now, it's just going to live with me forever. And the fact they've done it with very little interaction in cutscenes and stuff like that, it's all done with words mainly. Very simple retro graphics, but it's just everything comes together in an absolute perfect fusion to tell a wonderful story that, again, I don't think you could convey properly if that's done as a massive linear movie style game or anything like that. It's the medium that's been found to make that absolutely spot on.
It's great when you've got games that they couldn't exist in any other medium. They just wouldn't work. It's purely utilising everything that gaming brings. And that definitely sounds like one of them. And I must retry playing that one. Yeah,
right down to the frustrations. And that's really good. You know, the game is hard. Like, as you learn new mechanics, you have to really learn to adapt to it, and it is hard. But then what it does, it gives you some really good checkpointing and allows you actually to fiddle with the difficulty as much as you need to do. And it's just, there's just something about it. And anyone who gets a chance to play it, it's out on pretty much everything, I believe. So, there's no excuses.
Awesome.
So, I believe you're back into VR for number 3.
I am. I seldom step out of it. So it's, at number 3 I have Astrobot. It's basically a 3D platform game that's as good as pretty much any Mario game, but in VR. And that's the sort of thing that people who have been into VR have been crying out for. And PSVR brought it, and it brought it so well. Brought it heavy, brought it hard. The character design, they've gone with that colour scheme for the PS5. That's how much of an impact it's had internally in Sony. So like in a lot of VR games, you're physically present, but you are not the character that's controlled. Your character in VR controls another character, which sounds odd, but that makes perfect sense. Think of it like a remote-controlled car in the real world. So you're there, you're talking to your mates who are also playing with remote-controlled cars, and you're looking around and you can still speak and interact with people, but you have a little controller in your hand that's physically moving another object. And it's exactly like that, but the other object is a little robot. And you do your regular Mario platformy type stuff. So you're going around and you're jumping over things, jumping on their heads, solving little physical puzzles, and rescuing other little robots like you. The difference comes really in that VR presence. There's the one dimension to it, which is you use the fact that you're physically present to look around and gauge distances for jumps. And you can also look backwards, of course, so that you can navigate your the little character, the little Astrobot guy, behind yourself, and then turn around and look what he's doing. But there's also some stuff that you, as the physical player, can do separate to controlling your little fella. So you can be doing things with your head, like directing like water blasts and fun stuff like that. All of it is very difficult to describe, as it always is with VR. It makes it sound far more complex than it is, but that physically being there and being able to do stuff just adds a totally different dimension to it. And it's not like adding a single other dimension, it's like adding 5. So you're playing like Mario, but in a whole different way. And I don't want to denigrate the work the guys have done for Sony by saying it's just Mario, because it's not. There's lots and lots of innovation in there. The way that it uses platform deformation and creating new areas and things popping up in real time, and not just in front of you but behind you, and how that changes the gameplay. There's just tons and tons in it. It's probably the most attractive PSVR game. It uses the very simple cartoony style beautifully. It's incredibly colourful, really memorable boss characters and enemy characters, as well as your charming little robot guy. And it's just a fantastic game that you never want to put down. So, yeah, it's an absolute must if you've got the system. And, yeah, one of my games of the generation.
Yeah, obviously I can't say much against one I've not played or anything, but I like the idea of seeing an evolution in platformers in VR. But the benefit of VR is that you can look places you can't on a flat plane, that you can look around corners and stuff like that, maybe check for enemies, check for hidden secrets and that kind of thing, and interact with the world in 2 different ways. It's hopefully the start of a revolution in the 3D platform, I suppose. So yeah, it's good again to see something different in there and not your usual story-driven 3D adventure.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is probably my safest option in terms of my top 5. That's Horizon Zero Dawn. For no other reason than I'm not a big fan of open world games, but this grabbed me from start to finish. I don't think I played anything else while I was playing this. I loved Aloy as a character, and her character arc was absolutely sublime as well. I thought the way it told the story on the whole was absolutely fantastic. There was a couple of beats that it missed and a couple of pacing issues now and again, but for an open world game, to have minimal of that, I thought was spectacular. I really enjoyed taking down huge mechanical beasts. It felt visceral. It felt like you had to work to do it. Very rarely was there just a case that any of the enemies were just cannon fodder. Even the weak enemies, you kind of really had to play it carefully. Even though you dominate them, make mistakes, they would take you down. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about it in terms of. I was looking at it, yeah, I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed an open world game for the first time in God knows how long. Since probably like after they first came out and everyone was blown away by them. They just got boring. And yes, there are side quests, but they didn't seem to interfere with the game in the way you saw like an Assassin's Creed or something like that, where it's just icon after icon after icon. It seemed well spread out, well paced in that regard. But yeah, anyone gets a chance there, yeah, definitely give that a go. And I'm really looking forward to the next year to follow up with that.
Me too. It's not in my list, but it's not far off. It's 100% definitely in my top 10, and I can't wait for the new one. I am really tempted to buy it when it comes out. The previous game, this one, Horizon Zero Dawn, really, really tempted to double dip and buy it on PC when it gets released, because it's fantastic, like you say. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I loved the fact that the story is pretty much told environmentally, because I'm not a big fan of cutscenes. Like, if somebody told me they were being consigned to the dustbin of history tomorrow, I wouldn't shed a tear. They're occasionally okay, generally complete crap. And the ones in Horizon Zero Dawn, I often skipped through really, really quickly, because I felt I was getting everything story-wise just from the environment, because it tells such a great, visceral stuff. We've been overusing that word in this podcast, but it really does tell a really impactful story just in the way that it looks, and you can get a sense of the world. The creatures are fantastically designed, and sorry, I'm starting to rant on about how good it is now, but yeah, it's fantastic.
I mean, the other big point about Horizon Zero Dawn, and I've got to pick this up, even though it's nothing to do with why it's one of my favourite games of the generation, is the wonderful technology they put into it to allow that game to run really smoothly despite the level of detail, was the way it generated the textures and everything based on what you could see. So it generate everything was wireframes or whatever it was, and then it actually couldn't generate all the environments properly, only in your field of vision and slightly beyond. So if you actually be able to see behind you all wireframes, you wouldn't see it. As you turn, it just generated just in front of you every single time. They just like cut down like how much processing it was needed to do at any one time, but still make you feel that you was in that environment. It was just an absolute wonderful piece of technology. I think Danny O'Dwyer done a bit of a thing about it on one of these no-clip documentaries. But if you get a chance, just watch that technology. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's the Decima engine, isn't it, that is used in Death Stranding, and I'll talk about Death Stranding next week, because I've been playing that tons, despite my cutscene moan I just had a few minutes ago.
I hate cutscenes. I'm going to play a cutscene today.
Yeah, I'm going to sit here for 200 hours watching people act badly. But no, you're right. The technology's phenomenally good. It is like magic, and
it's a game changer. It has to be a game changer, because it allows. It's the sort of thing that's going to allow top end games potentially to run on lower systems and stuff like that easier. So it'd be interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah.
So your number 2, I don't actually agree with you with your number 2, but I'm going to let you explain why.
Oh,
like this one.
That'll be interesting. So my number 2 is Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. And for me, so there's two things. We were talking about open world games, and it's notionally an open world game. You look at it, it had a lot of physical world built for it. But it's the it's a true sandbox game. By that, what I mean is you drop yourself into it, and you can do pretty much anything you want in a tiny little play pit. And so there's traversal, getting to and from where you want to be. But once you're there, it's this perfectly instanced state where anything that you do can have all sorts of consequences. And that's just wonderful. And you can go in complete stealth. You can upgrade no weapons, go in hand, for any that don't require, a specific set of circumstances, you can go in and complete that mission with your bare hands, or you can go in tooled up to the nines and blow everything up, or you can go in 100% stealth and have the stealth mechanic work. And on top of that, you got the Kojima craziness, Kojima, if I think that's the correct way of saying it, Kojima craziness of there's the Fulton device, and you can send bears through a wormhole. So it's just it doesn't care about its verisimilitude. It doesn't care about telling a story. Like you said about Mario, it has fantastical elements, but it's grounded in the real world, and it's kind of like that, except with the Phantom Pain, it's all fantastical elements with this tiny, over the top covering of reality that justifies having ridiculously powerful and physics-defying objects, weapons, and utilities and stuff like that. But before I go on. What's your problem with the game? What is it you dislike?
So, everything you say about that is 100% spot on. But for me, the game, the intro to the game is one of the best I've ever played as an intro. The opening hour to that game is just something special, even now with that. And then I love the set piece. I love it when you actually infiltrate bases, when you have to go through the individual missions. But I would rather that this was set up more in a Hitman style way, where the rest of the open world, get rid of it, get rid of all that stuff. It's not needed. I'd rather you just went, here's a mission, here's an area, go have at it. And that would be the game. Because all of that side, it is wonderful. But for me, there was just too much fluff around it that made me just not care, not want to go and do it. Which is a shame, because I kind of got to the point where you was doing the actual missions and you was trying these different ways to take these bases down and infiltrate and things like that. And by the time I got there, I was like, I spent so long actually getting here. I don't know if I can be asked. And if they had just literally cut out a lot of it and allowed it just to be set piece after set piece after set piece, with minimal traversal to get there, then I honestly think it would have been one of my games of the generation. But again, open world fatigue. And what you've got this wonderful graphic world, just too much nothingness going on between places, and that just really put me off.
Yeah, I think we as gamers kind of suffer from overexposure to stuff. Kojima will be developing this game for 5 or 6 years and go, aha, here we go, something brand new you've never seen before. And we'll go, well, yeah, we did. We saw most of this stuff last year in Far Cry or Assassin's Creed or whatever. And he'll go, yeah, but mine's better. And a lot of people will go, yeah, it's better, but I've done it. So there is it.
Actually, just to interrupt you there, you mentioned Far Cry, and I loathe to mention Ubisoft, but this is in the past. So, Far Cry 2, in terms of how that's an open world feel, as I don't think it's ever been bettered because of the way you navigated that world, where you had to bring up your map, look at your map, and then you had to travel out a mini map, and you had to do it that way. You had to learn how to orienteer to a degree. I thought was absolutely spot on, and I don't think anything nailed it as well as that did in that game.
Fair play. Yeah, I mean, I've not played it enough to argue one way or the other, but I do like the whole navigating by the environment, and you can do that in Metal Gear to quite an extreme degree, but there's so much of having to navigate around individuals and their lines of sight that obviously, not knowing where you are as well as not knowing where they are would be a little bit too much. But no, I see where you're coming from completely. I think those are reasonable points. Of course, I think it might be a little bit like Celeste, in that the journey toward what the game wants to do with you is important, because if you don't have that build up, then you don't have the payoff. And I think, that works very well in films. It's trickier to do in games, especially as what it often means is repeating that loop over and over. So again, with Death Stranding, to do another Kojima game, there's a lot of long, tortuous walking. So it's just, trudging through very similar looking landscapes with this constant threat in the background that never materializes. But it pays off by, in two ways. One, having the threat eventually emerge, and then you dealing with it, and or getting a power up like just a car, and suddenly understanding how important and what a big thing it is just to be able to go at 15 miles an hour rather than 3 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And it's like some people will love that and some people will hate it, and the best games are divisive like that, I think. So I think you're totally right. That can be really off-putting for people. For me, it wasn't, and I loved it. But I would never say that somebody was quote unquote wrong for not enjoying that.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form it's a bad game, or how dare anyone put that. You can clear everything about that game is done so well. It's crafted well. Even the traversal, it's done well. It was just too much for me, and that is literally all it is. It's one of those games where I don't like myself for not liking it, because I know I should. It's one of those weird ones. Like, but I've never really got on as a whole with the Metal Gear Solid series. I kind of enjoyed them, but never understood the fuss. And yeah, I don't know if it's just one of those things. Like, everyone has a blind spot to the game sometimes. I think that's just it for me.
Yeah, totally fair.
So my number 2 comes from probably one of my favourite creators of the last few years, and that's Telling Lies from Sam Barlow. And I'm going to caveat that with, if you're going to play Telling Lies, play her story first. They're not related, but trust me, play her story first to get an idea of what to expect. But basically, Sam Barlow does these amazing full motion video games, and we're not talking like Mad Dog freestyle full motion video games either, or Night Trap. They feel real. You feel all the emotion. They're well acted, and the way he uses them is absolutely sublimely. So, to give a basic idea of structure of Telling Lies, you play this investigator, possibly whoever it is, and you've given this operating system, and on this operating system is files and a program that allows you to scrub through secret recordings of people, some secret recordings, some not so secret, and you kind of watch through them. You take your own notes, you then search for terms within the game's database, try to find more videos, try and link together who are all these people, who are they together, what's their relationship, why are you doing this? And you just go through and you go through and you go through, you make note after note after note, you watch videos 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, God knows how many times you try and look for the little nuances in what's being discussed. You see a discussion from one angle, you make a note, try and find that discussion from another angle, from the other person, and you make more notes, and then that takes you back in time to a video that you might have watched 20 minutes ago that might have something to do with that. You make more notes, and you kind of just go down the path of discovery and working out who all these people are, what their story is. But what's brilliant about Sam Barlow and Telling Lies, and her story especially, is that for me, there was no end game. There's no finish to the game. You kind of, I mean, there is, and I won't spoil it all, but you come to your own conclusions, and that's what it's about. You feel like by the time you're done, you want to go and see your higher up, or you want to go and see your client, present all your evidence to them for whatever it is they hired you for. And the immersion in these games is absolutely brilliant. I played Telling Lies on the Switch, and I put the headphones on for it. You sit in there, and it's kind of recreated like you're actually looking into a computer screen, working at a computer desk, and you hear external noises. So, like at night, you'll hear like traffic. Like you're in an apartment, you'll hear traffic outside. You might hear birds, or might hear people upstairs. Just all in the background noise, very, very subtly. And you get reflections on the screen enough to make you believe you're actually sitting there in front of a screen and everything around you is real. And you're conscious of that, but not conscious at the same time, trying to concentrate on everything that's going in front of you. Now, in Her Story, I remember sitting there and I had cups of coffee strewn all over my desk. I had post-it notes up and around my screen. I had a notebook out. I was scribbling down notes. And the only reason I couldn't do that on Teddy Night was I was playing it on the sofa on the Switch. But I was making mental notes, started using the laptop to make notes. And it's just really weird. A game that doesn't do anything, doesn't have any kind of tutorial, any kind of goal as such, just drops you in there. It's just so emotive. It's just so full of wonderful performances. And what it does for the FMV genre, it's just absolutely out of this world. And I've said it to Sam Barlow directly. He could come to a steaming turd on my dinner plate and I would lap it up graciously. He is that damn good at what he does.
Oh, that's a charming image. So, yeah, this is where, like, you disagreed on mine and I disagree with this one. And for a very, very specific reason, and that's because... well, sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. So I'm talking about Her Story here. I've not played his latest. But for Her Story, I figured out the mystery in the second scene. Like, I worked out what was going on almost immediately. And there, I played it all the way through. But then it was just kind of like, how do I force a game to go to where I already am mentally? Because, and normally I'm kind of like, M. Night Shyamalan would absolutely love me because I'm like, I get completely rolled by twists. Like they completely get me every time. I'm a thicko. I just follow the kind of like surface story, and you know that's me. But with this one, for some reason, I was just like, oh, it's that, and then I couldn't really draw any entertainment from it. And I wonder how many people have had that. How many people kind of were invested and and had no idea, and then they worked out the mystery, and how many just clicked to it early on and therefore the rest of the game was wasted. And I think you're going to lose a lot of audience like that, which is a shame. But so is the sequel a little bit tougher to intuit sort of early on?
I think so. I mean, again, with Her Story, I think a lot of it possibly depends on how you approach it, what you go through. And I didn't twig early at all. And just to cover the point, I think maybe if there was something you had to present at the end, like give you more of a reason to continue, like you worked out the twist, you worked out what it is, but what if you've got to present this in a way to somebody? And in Her Story, some of the research terms produce nothing, even though you feel they should. And there are some bits, they're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but for me, I love them. But Telling Lies, I think, does handle it a bit better. There's multiple actors in the game for a start, and their interactions are actually a lot more interesting because it's how they, one character acts with another character, how they act with a third character is interesting. And it's really weird because I think you almost need to approach it like it's not a game, but at the same time, it is a game. But to cover that, Telling Lies does it better. But again, with everything, it's the same as I suppose if you go into a film and someone's told you the major plot twists. You're sitting there and you're not taking in what the director's vision was. And I think that would be the same with Telling Lies and Her Story. If you nail it early or you get told, you're not going to get as much from it as I did.
Yeah. Well, the sequel sounds like it's one I should try out, definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they're worth the experience. I don't know how many FMV games you've played, but again, regardless of how you feel about the gameplay mechanics and whether you picked up early on it, there's no denying just in terms of an FMV game, it yet to be bettered because it takes away the weaknesses of FMV and uses that as a strength.
Yeah, no, I'd never really played anything like that because they were
Yeah.
mostly PC based, and I never had a PC when I was your like seventh guest and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the interaction. I did enjoy that. I thought it worked really well, and I thought it was going to put me off, but no, the deep mystery side and the way that I can't even imagine how he was able to construct something, that in depth and have it work and link together in a puzzle. It's just fantastically clever. But yeah, no, I like the format. I'm willing to give it another go.
Yeah, as I said, again, it's not for everyone at all. So it is, again, your mileage will vary. Sorry, just 2 seconds, shoot. What? Yes, I am. Go into your bedroom. Where do you want to go? So, moving on from actual video-based stuff, your number one, Stu, is a crappy little title, really, that I don't think anyone's heard of.
Well, I think we're going to break in with our special mentions just before we do that, are we?
Oh, God, yeah, we were. Yes, we'll do that then. We'll hold off your unknown title for your number one.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll tell you what my special mentions are. I've gone back and forth on these so much because, oh man, it's so difficult because what you're doing is trying not to just make it, points, 6, 7, 8. You're trying to, there's got to be something that really, really draws them out. So, to that end, my first special mention is Half-Life Alyx, and the reason it's not in my top 5, because it easily could have been, it's just simply because it's not really part of this generation. When the next generation comes out and VR is more accessible to people and the machines can play it better other than just really powerful PCs, I think it would be much more comfortable sitting in that generation. But it is absolutely fantastic, and if you have the means, play it. But I would not class it as a generational title, really. It's in its weird subcategory. And that kind of applies to my second one, which is Wipeout Amiga Collection, which is the best VR racing game, bar none. It transforms Wipeout. It makes it the thing that it always could have been and should have been or whatever. Being able to look into the corners makes you so much more proficient because unlike track surface touching games, racing games, I don't know, physically connected to the track racing games, the anti-gravity ones, because they've got loops and twists like a roller coaster, being present so you can move your head and ignore things that are obstructing your view and look into where you need to be, is uniquely useful. So again, I'm keeping it out just because it's a game from 10, 11 years ago and it's been tarted up. It kind of deserves to be in this generation because of the VR thing, but kind of doesn't. So it deserves to be played, but not really part of this generation. And the third and final one is Doom, the 2016 one. And the only reason I kept that out is because it's fantastic, but it doesn't break any boundaries. Yes, I mean the whole push forward to win rather than go into cover is a really nice, pleasant slap in the face to most first-person shooters, which are be strategic, get behind cover, blah-de-blah-de-blah, calling your teammates. And it's bombastic, it's ludicrous, it's stupid, and it plays into all of that. I think it delivers a lesson that even its sequel sounds like it's forgotten, which is it's all about the games. Forget about cutscenes. You don't really need story. You just need to have a great environment in which to mess about like a toddler. So it definitely makes a subsidiary list, with full merit for that. So yeah, those are my 3 honourable mentions.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, Doom, yeah, that is really good. That nearly made it to mine. Sorry, Stu, 2 seconds again.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time.
Hey, Dad, what's wrong? You want to come sit with me? Yeah? Oh, you come and sit with me? We'll let's join in. So that's all the... He did sit with me now, so I'll kind of work her into it a little bit.
Cool. Hi, Edith.
Hello.
Hi.
Hiya.
So I've just been joined by a special guest just before we get into my honourable mentions. Some people have heard of her before because she started helping me review games based on what they look like, haven't you, Edith?
Yeah, and we saw a snake on the game.
And we saw a snake on the game, yes.
She likes Tetris.
Yes, like Tetris, yes, who is our snake.
Yeah.
So,
It's mine.
this is going to get our most numbers. We're going to get the most numbers now because she's better than all of us, aren't you?
And
Definitely.
Dora's dead.
And Dora's dead, yes. The other snake's dead.
I remember the snake game that she talked about. I remember seeing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give that a campaign one day, won't we?
Yeah.
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 So, my honourable mentions, we'll go through. First are Bloodborne. Now, I've never completed Bloodborne, so it probably shouldn't be on my... That's why one reason it wasn't on my top 5. But first game that I played on the PS4 that just really blew me away. And my first real effort of playing like a Souls-like game properly. And I done a stream for it, and the feeling I got when I beat Mark Gascoigne for the first time in that game just has never been bettered. I celebrated like my football team had just scored a last minute goal to win a title. It was just such a wonderful feeling. But yeah, and it's just a wonderful game that I do want to go back into one day. My next is Mario Odyssey. Mario! Yeah,
Mario.
you like Mario, don't
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Hey, I
Mario
say
rules.
it on my
So,
yeah. I say different games.
will we not say that one though? You don't play shooting games.
No.
No.
You say Mario Paper Day.
And Mario Paper Game, yes. No, Mario Odyssey, 3D platformer, and I think it is just the best example of when it's done right. It is just, wow, absolutely spectacular. No, I know. And my final one is kind of a cover of a whole genre. But I'm picking this one out particularly because it tries to do something different. My other one is Murder by Numbers, which is a Picross title with a murder mystery story set in the 80s Hollywood behind it. And it's just, if you get a chance, have it to the wonderful. Play it. Enjoy the Phoenix Wright-esque story that's there, along with Picross to actually solve clues and move the story forward.
Oh, not another one of those. Not. There's far too many of those Picross murder mysteries going around.
I know, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm okay.
Animal Crossing, yes, you like Animal Crossing.
Yeah. And I will want to go.
Is that your favourite game?
Yeah.
Yeah? Is that your number one game of the generation?
Yeah. I have it on my Xbox.
Your 3DS?
No, it's not my video.
It is.
Oh, it's my Xbox.
Okay, it's your Xbox, fine, but it's the 3DS.
That's a good choice. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not one of ours, but it's a lovely game.
And now I'll go and get a 3DS Xbox for those people.
She definitely wins some sort of cute award.
No, she really doesn't. But yes. So, your number one, Stu.
Yeah, so my number one is quite a vanilla choice, really. It's The Legend of Zelda: The Breath of the Wild. And yeah, for me, it was just... She's so cute. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, even if you don't like the game, everyone kind of recognises that it's brilliantly put together. But what I really loved about it was going back to that thing from, you know, Phantom Pain, of these little instances of, you know, high action and great fun and variety. And even though the world is very big, it never feels over large. Every part of it seems to have a unique aspect to it, like deep canyons and small streams and high mountains, and it utilises that so well that you've got this overworld full of variety and beauty, and it's split into these sort of 3 tiers, but very subtly. So the overworld, and then you've got like below ground, which are always the dungeons, and they're exciting and they're very technical, and then you've got like this aerial threat that's the kind of where the bosses are and what they are, and that's kind of very momentous, and standing on them is very precarious. So it tells another really good story in its world building, that when you're up high you get a real sense of vertigo, and when you're down low you get this sense of oppression under the earth, and then when you're on the above ground you feel like you're the one in control, and that really propels the story. It doesn't need a great deal of narrative. You can just explain to the player why this is so important, why saving this world is such an important thing to do, just by connecting straight away with your emotions and making things beautiful. Quite apart from that, you could make a case for it being the best looking game of all time. There's some stiff competition, but blimey days, I mean, it just looks stunning, and it's basically running on an enhanced GameCube, because that's all their consoles have been, Nintendo's, since the GameCube came out. They've just kind of gone, yeah, we like making money, let's just keep using this architecture. So it's been beefed up, but it's like, it's still pretty old, and it just looks phenomenal, and it's a joy to play because of that. And yeah, there's stuff in it that people dislike, and I can totally get on board with, like the weapon breaking mechanic. It's very, you're kind of conditioned and used to weapons incrementally getting better, and then you're using them and relying on them, and then to have everything be impermanent other than Master Sword, it's a big shock to the system, and some people can't go over that. I totally understand it, but for me, it never really bothered me. I liked the variety it added, and it made you think differently. And without sort of going on for the next 6 hours, that's my number one of the generation.
Yeah, you talk about it being possibly one of the best looking games of all time, and I'm with you on that. It shows how much art direction really, really matters. For me, looking at it now, and I can't wait till I can actually boot up the game to see how good it looks at high settings. But when you look at the facial features on Hellblade that you Sacrifice, I think that hit so far the pinnacle of actual visual fidelity in terms of graphics. But I much prefer something that is maybe less impressive in terms of look how realistic this is, but just nails the art style. And yeah, Breath of the Wild does that. As you say, for me, the weapon mechanics are a little bit of a pain, but not enough to ruin the game. And just the switch to open world just took me a little bit too long to get used to, possibly. But once it opens up even further, this is the bit that surprised me about that game. It just got better. Whereas, I say, the argument I had over Metal Gear Solid 5 was that I didn't like the traversal, that getting from area to area just didn't feel entertaining enough. It's totally different here. It just feels special every moment you are in that game. It's a great choice for number one. So, mine, Game of the Generation, is a 31-year-old game, and that is Tetris. It is Tetris, yeah.
I'm also thinking Tetris.
Tetris 99 stroke Tetris Effect.
I know.
I've made no secret of the past that I love Tetris. It is my favourite game of all time. I always win. Yes, I don't always win, but I get close.
I win. I like it.
Okay. And when Tetris 99 was first introduced, I, like many people, went, what on earth are Nintendo smoking? A Tetris Battle Royale game. And then by the end of the trailer, I was like, yeah, I'm on board with this. I think this could be pretty good. I didn't realise how good. I also didn't realise that it had the longevity that it's got, and how many other people will pick up on it. It plays Tetris wonderfully well for a start, and the way it's introduced Battle Royale mechanics is absolutely sublime. You can attack, defend, you can loot on it. So basically, every time you knock someone out, you're looting them to get their knockout stars, badges, and fragments. Yeah. And then you use those. You've got more of those. Instead of sending 1 or 2 lines of garbage to opponents, you send 3, 4, 5 because you've got their badges that give it a boost. And you learn how to play Tetris as well. I've always played before quite safely, like build up a well, try and get a line, maybe a couple of combos. Wasn't great at T-spins. I definitely couldn't do like a T-spin triple. I couldn't do like an S or Z spin. Whereas now I can set those up and I can do them and I can react. I can get to the top in a battle with someone where if I make one mistake, it's game over because I can't see what's going on top. I can work my way down from that, playing almost blindly, knowing what's coming. And it just improved my skills as a gamer tenfold. And it's just absolute joyful to play. I can pick up from that one game that will last 5 minutes and move on, go do dinner or go out or do do something else, or I can sit there for hours playing. I've played over nearly 4,000 games of it. I've got over 400 hours in the game on just this version. And yeah, I'm the only battle royale I'm good at. I've got 260 odd wins out of it, which I know is nowhere near some of the best players, but I had one, maybe 2 wins at Fortnite. So, it's definitely different. And to accompany that is Tetris Effect, which is Tetris reimagined by, and I feel bad I didn't make a note of the name, but the guy who done Rez. And its music-based visuals are absolutely wonderful. And it's Tetris, but it's different because of how it's played. Various different modes, different music tracks, different ways of scoring, and it's just wow. Just absolutely wow. Gets its name from the idea that when people used to play Tetris when it first came about, they'd go to bed dreaming of the shapes and how the game was playing, and it still had head. And Tetris Effect does that. Tetris 99 does that. And there's a reason why those games are still made today, why they're still super popular today. And while, despite having loads of different tweaks and visual upgrades and additional modes, possibly like with the Battle Royale mode, Tetris 99, the core gameplay has remained the same for 30 years. And it's just a testament to how damn good that game is. And yeah, my game of this generation or any generation.
Excellent. You can't really leave it out. It's obviously, like the true hero is the person who introduced you to Tetris Effect, which is me, by giving you the game. But no, I played it in VR, and it adds a really lovely element to it. It very, obviously very immersive and allows that trippiness. It's Mitsugushi, isn't it? The guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. I didn't want to butcher his name, but I was trying to remember it. Yes, it is, yes.
Yeah, and Lumines is one of my favourite games of all time as well.
You say Lumines? I say Lumines.
Yeah, I've never known.
Lumines? Oh, no, some say Lumines. Yeah, that's really good as well.
Christ knows. But yeah, so yeah, no, it's an absolute fabulous game. And I like the fact that it uses a similar dynamic of like a time bar to do something special in it, kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely fabulous games and worthy winners.
Yeah, definitely. And what we'll say with this, again, these are just our personal choices. If there's something that's been great this last generation that's not in there, it's not because we don't like it. It's just the games that have resonated with us the most. Hang on. The Mario Scary game, Luigi's Mansion.
I like that.
You like that game?
I don't have that yet.
We do. We have it on the Switch.
Yeah, it's a nice game.
It is a good game, yes. But yeah, it's with these games aren't like the best games technically, all of them, in terms of maybe Metacritic ratings or anything like that, or even how they do things. But it's not always about how good the game is. It's about what you personally get from it. If you like a game that has rated 4 out of 10, then good for you. That's absolutely good for you. If you don't have to like what everyone else likes, but the fact that the only game that probably came close to being in both of our lists was going to be The Legend of Zelda. And I'm wondering, should I put that in? But it just didn't resonate with me as much as the other games. And the reason it wasn't in my honourable mentions, so I already knew Stuart, but it is number 1. There's no point talking about it twice. But generally, I think our lists are completely different, and it shows that's what gaming should be about. That enjoy your own things. You haven't got to like what everyone else likes, and just do you. You're not hurting anyone. Just don't like Sonic 4 because that was got all trash and intensity if you like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this week no mental health chat because obviously we dragged on about this, so it's a week off from that. But I suppose in some sort of way we do need a bit of a break in our own mental health at times, so it stands to reason, I suppose. But yeah, if you do want to talk to us about anything, as usual, our Discord is open to you. Please come and join join us there. We're going to be doing more videos and stuff on YouTube.
Daddy, I got a purple dot.
Got a purple what? Slush.
Yeah, a purple one.
Okay. I'm doing more videos with my daughter as we review games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yay!
And play some.
Yeah, you can play the other one.
Yeah. I've just got to work out how to set it up because apparently she's not allowed to play Call of Duty and stuff like that. So we've got to Yeah.
Boo.
But yeah, I'm doing stuff with Edith. She's turned it into a mini me. She absolutely loves games at 3 years old. And I'm jealous because I never had access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gaming devices, 7 if you include phones at her age that I could play what I wanted. I had an Atari that I was allowed to play when no one else was watching the telly.
Yeah, because I want to.
In my day, this was all fields.
Yes. Yeah, we could. No, in my day, we couldn't afford fields.
It was gravel,
yeah,
gravel for us, gravel for dinner.
Yeah. Gravel. I used to love the taste of gravel. It's better back then. Not with all your sugar and salt in it now, taken out.
The
Or
coronavirus.
whatever. Yeah.
Oh, we almost made it through a full episode without mentioning the virus.
I know.
Bugger.
But there's the reason that I suppose coronavirus is the reason why she's getting involved in doing videos with me now, but there you go. Doesn't matter. Because this is obviously a less serious one where we're not actually going into the mental health stuff, then I don't mind her being on with us. But yeah, again, Discord's open if you want to chat to us, more stuff on YouTube, follow us on Twitter. And if you want to pay us to shut Edith up, you can do that via Patreon and Coffee. Yeah, shut you up.
Or to get her to talk more often. That would be good as
Either
well.
way, yeah. Maybe she'll talk more often or maybe she'll shut up. Either way, just pay us.
Yeah.
Obviously, not, it's up to you. We do all this because we enjoy it and we feel there's a message to go out. So, thank you for listening and stay safe, and we'll be back next week for episode 26.
Yeah.